they are enemies to the Israelites. They weren't worshipers of God. They weren't theists in that sense. They probably worshipped all kinds of other gods, probably practiced a lot of things that would be considered very foreign to the Israelite faith. Those people. And the question that this story asks us to really ponder is, how do we treat those people? How do we treat the people that we might be inclined to keep at arm's length? How do we treat those people? You go back to chapter 9. We looked at that last week. That's the story where David finds a man named Mephibosheth. You can always remember that because that name is so hard to pronounce, right? Mephibosheth. Mephibosheth was an Israelite, but he was an heir to Saul's family, remember? And he would have been considered a rival to the throne of David. And so to many people, they would have looked at Mephibosheth and said, we need to get rid of him. We need to maybe even kill him because he might try one day to take over the throne of David. But David didn't see it that way. David said, I want to go and show chesed to this Mephibosheth. If you remember that, I described that word a little bit. That's the kind of love that God shows to us. Faithful love. Love that isn't deserved. Love that you can't earn. And love that never fails. So David, chapter 9, goes to Mephibosheth, a potential rival to the throne, and says, I want to do kindness to you. And I want to love you in a way that a way that you do not deserve. It's pretty astounding when you think about it. David loving an enemy, a potential enemy. But all that said, Mephibosheth was still an Israelite. He was still a member of God's people, God's nation, right? Now we get into chapter 10, and I want you to look at verse 2. In verse 2, David thought, I will show kindness to Hanun, the son of Nahash, just as his father showed kindness to me. That's almost word for word the same as in chapter 9. In chapter 9, David says, I want to show kindness to Mephibosheth. In chapter 10, now David is taking that same idea of showing this undeserved, unearned kindness and mercy and compassion. Now David is saying, I need to take that beyond the borders of Israel. I need to take that to the nations. The Ammonites were not exactly friendly to the Israelites. Now, they had a little history with David. When David was on the run from Saul, it seems that the father of Hanun, the man named Nahash, was somehow friendly and supportive of David. Somehow this man came along and assisted David when he was on the run from Saul. So David had some contact with these people. But as for the rest of the Israelites,